Pam Bondi was fired today. I'm going to discuss what she did in immigration during her year as Attorney General. So, Pam Bondi hit the ground running. In February 5th, she started passing all of these memos that dealt with immigration. Normally, attorney generals focus on other things like corruption and corporate crime. But instead of making those priorities, she said from the very beginning, immigration enforcement, immigration prosecutions are going to be our priority. To that end, on February 5th, she released two memos. The first one going after misdemeanor entry and felony entry. So if you enter undocumented in between ports of entry, you have committed a misdemeanor. Normally, these are very, very small crimes. They're not worth prosecuting. And honestly, if you make it into the United States, there's no real way to get evidence that you actually, went through the desert. So because of that, they're very rarely prosecuted. And again, they're misdemeanors. But that became the priority of the Department of Justice. The second thing they went after were felony re-entries. So if you entered undocumented twice, you have now committed a felony because you've done it twice. Again, if you made it into the interior of the United States, it's really hard to get evidence of that, but that was the priority. The second thing I said was sanctuary cities. She basically threatened to cut off funding to all sanctuary cities if they are perceived to be aiding undocumented people or actually directly aiding them in some kind of illegal way. Basically, she said, if you see that sanctuary cities or jurisdictions are doing something illegal, then we're going to send them to court, which is honestly, that makes sense. If you see them doing something illegal, we send them to court. Unfortunately, they didn't do anything illegal, so there's nothing to send them to court with. However, in February 25th, she started sending these very threatening letters to both Maine and also to California and also to Minnesota. Basically, she sent the exact same letter to all three states saying, hey, we just sued New York and we also just sued Illinois because they weren't listening to federal immigration laws. So we're going to sue you next if you don't start getting in line. So she started sending these threatening letters. Now, sometime over the summer 2025, she switched priorities to focus on denaturalization, saying that denaturalization is going to be a top priority this year. In 2025, there were 13 denaturalization cases. The norm is 11. So basically two more than the norm. In March of 2026, she said again that she was going to focus on denaturalization. But again, those were basically her last words because she was fired today. That and also she started an AI task force.